And we are joined fresh off his European vacation. I don't know, was it about a month in Europe?
About 5 weeks.
About 5
Oh
weeks.
no, because I was in Texas as well. So it was Texas and Europe.
Yeah, is the one and only Con Porter. It's what 6:35
It
a.m. in
is
the morning there.
exactly 6:35 in the morning. Look at you go! Impressed by that,
Yeah,
Patrick.
yeah. So yeah, 6:35. Con agreed to join us. So when I brought up, hey, we're gonna preview the Down Under Championship, he's like,
When did you
yeah,
bring this up? Tell the fine folks at home when I got the text.
five hours ago. 5 hours ago. But I knew you were
At
gonna be up.
1:45 a.m. local time, I
Yeah,
get a lovely message from PC.
Hey,
Do you
that's
want to jump
prime time,
on?
baby.
yeah.
Oh
Well, you've
yeah, he
got
just knew that my jet lag would be up and about at that hour.
yeah. Well, you've probably gotten worse texts from me at 1:45 in the morning. So, um, but I knew you would be up, especially from your travels. So, um, froze on us for a little bit there. He'll jump back in. Oh, there he is.
Well, he might have to log out and log back in. He might have already done that. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, he's back on.
Yeah, sorry guys, you just caught me in there. It was a little bit of a dark spot reception wise, but I should be good from here on out.
Okay. But Khan is driving to pick up his partner for this weekend, unbeknownst to probably his partner, but for the Down Under Championship. So but we asked him to come on and kind of preview what's going on this weekend down in Wollongong, Australia.
Yeah, one of the better events of the CrossFit calendar in Australia, that's for sure. It's always a good one down under. I was petitioning heavily to get Brian out there this year, but I dare say next year you got to be boots on the ground, my guy.
that'd be cool. I've been hoping to get to an event in Australia for a while. My perspective from never having been to one is that there's the Torian Pro and there's a Down Under CrossFit Championships, and those are kind of the pinnacle events in Australia, despite the fact that there are several others.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of other lesser known ones, but there's some big ones kind of state to state as well, which will attract one or two big people. But yeah, those are the big ones, Torian and Down Under.
And I think in the recent years, last 1 or 2 years, Down Under's they've done a pretty good job of getting athletes that aren't from Oceania to come and compete in their events, and also some training programs to be involved in the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a cool opportunity because I think that's one thing about the Australian CrossFit community. We're a long way away. You kind of tell everyone that you're from Australia as you're traveling the world, and people's first reaction is, "I'd love to go, but it's too far." Which, I mean, you get over that. You learn. I mean, I'm coming off 36 hours of travel. Like, you get used to it as an Aussie. But I think it's a really cool opportunity for some of the Australian CrossFit community that can't get over to the CrossFit Games per se to get exposure to some of those athletes. And I know Chandler and Noah have done it twice. And they're just, those two boys, they're cut above the rest when it comes to the effort that they'll go to kind of meet fans and give the fans a quality experience, which was awesome. Tola was out there last year, Big Matty DeLugos as well. And I think they've got a few internationals again. I think Amy Kringle's done it a couple of times. And then, so there's a good crew that always come out from overseas. We've got the Spanish boys this year. That'll be a lot of fun. And they're always just a good time to hang around. So, yeah, they do a good job in getting that external people out. And I know that the Aussie community really does appreciate and enjoy that.
I think I'm remembering correctly that 2 years ago, Mayhem was involved. Last year, Proven was involved, and this year's HWPO is involved.
HWPO is involved this year. I know Tia has been around. Tia was there last year doing some stuff. Don't quote me on the Mayhem the first year, though. I'm not sure that was the case. Robbie Forte has been doing the programming for as long as I can remember.
But I thought Rich and the guys came out and competed one year. Didn't he compete with Royce?
No, you're thinking of the Torian Pro a few years ago. You're
Okay.
thinking
Okay.
Korean Pro 2019, which I
Oh,
remember
Jesus.
vividly because we all had to do the first workout of the last workout of the Open together, and I lost a bet to a friend of mine based on a rugby match, and he got to pick my outfit for the event, and he had me in this little fucking sparkly crop top that said "I love you, Rich Froning" on it, and it was quite the occasion.
And you and Rich have been best friends ever since.
Yeah, he changed his phone number after that, I believe.
But I mean, it is difficult to get to Australia. Obviously, it's a long way away from almost everyone, and it's cool that different, whether it's different competition organizers or these guys with Down Under, have taken that initiative to get some of the biggest names out there to Australia for their community.
Yeah, for sure. And what it's been a cool competition as well. I feel like for certain individuals to have breakout years. Like I believe Pete Ellis won it last year, and he was really impressive last year. I'll go to these events and I'll always go and watch the individuals just to kind of see, young whippersnappers coming up through the ranks. And Pete was really impressive last year, so it was cool to see him then go on and get his spot. And then I think Gracie won the girls, or Gracie or Maddie have been pretty consistently 1 and 2 in the girls, and then both of them go back and have really good years at the games this year too. Was really, really cool. And I think they time it. It's a little earlier this year. It was in December last year, but they typically time it at a good point for people to be able to get a bit of a measure of how your off season's going and maybe look forward to what happens in the future.
Well, and I actually know that part of the reason why they moved it a little earlier is to be conscious of the total landscape of competitive events in the CrossFit ecosystem. And last year, in and around the Down Under Championships, was also Dubai and the new Fit Fest, which drew some athletes and some media attention. And that they were kind of looking and approximating. They knew when Rogue was going to be. They knew when Dubai was going to be. And there seemed to be this time in October where, you say it's one of the premier competitions in Australia, and it is attracting global athletes and programming platforms and personalities. And this weekend, it is the biggest event on the calendar. So I think it was a good choice for them from that perspective.
Yeah, it's done well. I mean, I don't mind a cheeky October event. It's good. I don't mind it a lot more if it's not coming off the back of 5 weeks traipsing the globe. But hey, such is life. Such is the life I choose, my friends.
I know that part of the process of selecting the date was to look at your calendar and try to make it as inconvenient as possible for you.
Yeah, I've got a good relationship with Mel and Scotty who run it, so I'm certain that they were looped in on that, and they were kind of like, "Let's fuck with this guy. Just want to make him puke in front of a crowd. That'll be fun."
You've been training so much the last 5 weeks. I've witnessed it.
Yeah, look, I've done a bit here and there. But go ahead. Let's have a look at the men's and women's and the teams fields. What are we doing here, boys? Let's get the previewing going.
Do you want to? Let's just start off with the individuals real quick, and then we'll end with the team. So
beauty.
Yeah. So we'll start with the elite women, and elite women coming up. Kind of starts off. I think the favorite here. I think originally they advertised Gracie Walton, but I think she's no longer competing.
Yeah,
but it still is a pretty impressive field. Kind of headlined by Amy Kringle and Emily DeRoy. Emily very well. That's a fellow teammate that helped you to the title.
I know Amy and Emily. I don't know if Em's competing. This might be breaking news. I'm not sure Em's competing or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's it's unfortunate in this sport actually that there's Brittany Weiss is on this list, but she's not in Australia.
She's not.
Jessie Smith is on the list. I think she is there.
She is, because I saw Chandler was at a wedding. I was hoping that they'd come out just to catch up with Chandler and Jessie. They're great people. But yeah, I remember saying that they were at a wedding. So unless they're doing the old KP fly in the day before and make the most of it, which hey, hats off to them. then yeah, I don't know. Like it's always, that's the thing about some of these events as well, particularly with low entry. And when like the prize money in the past has been reasonable, but I haven't heard anything about it this year. A lot of the time you get these people qualify and they sit in the qualifying spot, but then if they don't necessarily coming out, then they should free up a spot to some of the young up and comers in the region that maybe missed out. But I know Amy's here, and then I'm not sure. Em said she may not be. I know she got quite sick last week, so that might be why she's out.
Linda Kieschman is on the athlete roster out of the Netherlands. She made the games this year.
She's very good.
And Laura Clifton, who has qualified for the games out of the Oceania region in the past.
I'd love to see Laura do well. She's such a stud. I think very highly of Laura. She's such a legend.
Those are some of the, I mean, Marnie Sykes is listed on the roster. She's probably had more success as an individual, as a team athlete, but she's not bad either.
No, she's very good as an individual. I think she's been right on the cusp of making it individually a handful of times as well. So this could be a good opportunity, looking at it being a breakout platform for a few athletes in the past. Maybe if she does have a good showing here as an individual, it could be a sign of things to come. I do believe the Torian team aren't getting back together next season, and a few of them are looking to go individual. So that would be pretty cool to see her have a good season, have a good showing there.
The Torian team, was that Royce's team this year?
It is Royce's team.
Yeah, so that was was it
Royce,
Christy on that team?
Jeffrey, Christy, and Marnie.
Yeah.
I believe Christy's on a pair for the event. Royce is going indie. I'll be very keen to see how big Royce goes back to being indie. He did some sort of ridiculous workout with too many bench presses, which has now become a thing that he does because it impresses me so much. No, I'm not going to steer the conversation to Royce's bench pressing because we'll talk for too long. Go back to the list.
Well, Royce is in the field. I always like when Royce competes because he's one of these guys. There's a few of them in the sport that you think what kind of athlete they are, and then you watch him compete and you're like, damn, like he's actually just kind of good at everything.
Yeah. There's a bit of running in there, which I think might slow him down on a couple of events, but like that muscle up machine one, he's going to be a weapon. He can for some reason he's unbelievable at muscle ups. It makes no sense.
Bench pressing, that's the secret.
Here's the thing about the Australian male contingency these days. It used to be that our region was notoriously not super strong, and at the top end, like our kind of games level boys, like they're strong enough, but they're definitely not home run hitters when it comes to max lifts. But some of the young guys that are coming up through the ranks are just ridiculous. I saw a video of a young guy, Dante Karangaroa, I think I'll probably butcher that last name, 5RM touch and go snatch at 265, 120. Like a 5 rep max touch and go snatch at 260, because that's one of the events is 5RM, 3RM, 1RM. Yeah. That's just an absurd number. Like Bailey Martin's brother, he's a phenomenal lifter. There are some young boys coming through that can just put up stupid numbers. I think we had 3 guys at last year's Down Under Champs clean 180 plus. So clean like
holy cow,
395, 400 plus. Yeah, and these are young guys that are kind of again, I always watch the individual just because like the old armchair athlete in me sits there going, I wonder if I could still hang with these boys. And I was watching it because I go and watch it, and I remember watching that Dante fella crush the snatch ladder. I think he might have even gone for touch and go on his last barbell, and just being really impressed with his numbers as a lifter. And then just seeing how many like sort of boys that maybe aren't necessarily looking to crack a game spot just yet because of some other weaknesses and stuff that they're working on. But I think like he was a real standout. I think he ended up finishing 7th or so in the region, in you know, the Aussie region with everyone there kind of competing. So I'd be curious. He's a dude that I'm curious to watch compete this weekend because I think he's quite young. And I don't know, if you're touch and going 120 for 5, that's gangster. Like, that's fucking gangster.
Well, we had, I think we had Bella on last year after she did a stint down in Australia, New Zealand, and she speaks really highly of him as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see. There's a lot of the young boys, and they're just, you know, they're at that age where they just keep getting better, getting that man strength, and then putting the hours in. You know, strength takes time, but so does building that aerobic capacity, and so they're starting to build those engines as well. And yeah, the gap's narrowing between, say,
Eli.
at their peak, just getting pulled over by cops. Not really, it's an ambulance. But there was a period in Oz where, like, if all the boys were competing at their peak, there's really like 7 or 8 that it was a tussle between, and then it was just kind of there was quite a gap between that 7 or 8 and the rest of the field, and that's changed now. Like, there's a lot of boys coming up that are pretty damn good.
Both Ben and Luke Fowler are on this list. Those names have been kind of filtering into the semifinal field over the last couple of years, and I think Ben also qualified for Dubai. Do you know those guys well?
Yeah, I know the Fowler boys. I know Ben better than I know Luke. He actually stayed with me for a week when I was living on the Gold Coast because he's good mates with Dean, who was our
Poor guy.
Oh, yeah. It was a bit like that. I was having a good time on the Gold Coast, and Benny had to just cop the brunt of that. No, he's a good kid. Like, one of those guys that's real dialed in as well. Like, he wants to get there. I know he was hopeful that maybe he could push for that 4th spot this year. But again, there are just so many young dudes chomping at the bit that are coming up through the ranks, and I think him and his brother are quite good, and I'd love to see them have a good showing. He was a really, really good kid, so yeah, I'd love to see those boys have a good one. But it's actually going to be an interesting men's field to watch, despite their seemingly at the outset not being any quote unquote big names, except for maybe Pete and Royce. I'd say it'll be a very exciting one to watch because you're probably watching the future of the sport coming through. You're probably watching a few guys who are going to start to put some pressure on that Ricky Bailey, Jay. You know,
I want to throw a name. I want to throw a name out there and get your opinion on this guy as potentially being in that group. Isaac Newman.
Yeah, dude, he was another one who was surprised me. I don't know a lot about Isaac. I haven't had the opportunity to have much of a conversation with him. I believe he's coached by Benny Garrard, and I mean, Benny's fucking pretty good at what he does, and Benny be a great coach to have in your corner as well. He's just got that passion and stuff that both the Garrard boys do, and it's just such a characteristic of both of theirs that I admire. But he seems to be someone that's just pretty well rounded, and yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about him to really give he's good at this, he's not good at this is what's going to favour him, but I think he'll be one that I'll be watching over the course of the weekend for sure.
Got another youngster for you, Adam Manzi.
Adam Manzi, oh yeah, the young buck Adam Manzi. I mean, look, I've always got a soft spot for the old boys that go in, throw their hat in the ring.
Just so everyone knows, he's actually my age. We're both 37, so that was a joke.
Yeah, he's not a young buck, but I like Adam a lot, and he runs such an amazing affiliate up on the Gold Coast as well. Every competition that I went to up there and sort of was either a part of or spectating, like, hats off to the community that he's built up there. So for him to be, you know, his dad, he's in there in the trenches building this brilliant gym and community, and for him to be out there competing with the young bucks is pretty fucking cool. So I'll give him a big cheer on the weekend for sure.
There are a lot of guys in the 24 to 26 age range that have been knocking on the door out there for a while. So I'll definitely be watching to see which one of those guys kind of has a good showing this weekend. On paper, it's hard for me to think that Royce or Peter won't win, and probably they'll be the top 2 guys. Do you agree with that? And if you had to pick, do you like one of them over the other, given the workouts, which we can look at in a minute?
I like both those boys a lot. Heart says Royce, though, because he's just one of the old boys, and because not to give too much away, but there might be a team's comp in the future where myself and him lace up some boots with another friend of ours. That could be a bit of fun. So I'd love to see him doing well. But hey,
you're basically saying that if he wants to get on the team, he better win.
No, it's not the opposite. We've got to keep up with him. I've got to learn to bench press like him. I like Royce. I love watching him compete. He's one of the old boys that still has that. I don't know. I feel like I feel like there was a generation. There's the generation that came through that they still brought a bit of showmanship to the competition floor as well, and there was some good carry on. And Royce still embodies that, and so I like that. But then that said, Pete's such a good kid too. Can they tie? Can they tie for points, please, and split the prize first? I know they won't want to, but I don't think I can split between them.
Han, and I grew up playing soccer, and I had a coach one time, and he said a tie is like kissing your sister. Listening to you answer that question was the same.
I mean, I don't have a sister, but if Royce and Pete have to kiss, I'm not okay. I'm okay with that. Like, I'm sure the crowd won't expect it, and hey, let's give them something different for a change. But no, I mean, I think Pete might get him though. I think Pete might get him just on youth, and I feel like he will see this as an opportunity to test himself, and I think that's
Can't handle it. I can't.
Surprised to see Pete going in with just like a little bit more sort of fire and intensity than Royce. Royce will still be on that podium by the merit of the fact that he's just so damn good and just has so many hours of training logged in the bank. But I think Pete might get him.
Yeah, if I was picking a podium on the men's side, I would probably take Pete, and then I think it's going to be pretty close between Ben and Royce. I think they'll kind of punch back and forth a little bit. Those are the three guys I would pick for the podium, though.
Yeah, there's that one that's like a lunge handstand race, and Ben Fowler is just incredible on his hands. So I mean, like, that's 100 points for him. He can lift pretty well. So he'll snatch well. So that'll probably be the biggest mitigating factor, because Royce is going to do well in his snatch. And if there's just a couple of big brutes that slot between Royce and say Pete and Ben in that event, then that's where you could maybe see a little bit of separation on the leaderboard and Royce sneak that first.
Yeah, it's I'm just curious to see how much of what you're talking about with the depth of the field can keep up with those guys that on paper should be the front runners. So I think it'll be a really fun individual men's field.
Yeah, agreed.
I know we kind of glossed over the women, but
let's go back to the women.
we got Amy Kringle, Linda Kieschman, both coming off of great semifinal performances in Europe, making it to the games for the first time. As far as the locals, on paper, Marnie and Laura, if Emily's not competing, are probably the best two. I don't know if there's anyone else in the field that can really challenge that group of women.
Throw some names at me, just because I haven't seen the individual women's field, and I'm driving, so I can't look at it.
Man, I don't know a lot of these as well as the other ones, but Alexandra Bulik, Alice Scott.
Did you
Chelsea
say Sandra
Lane.
Bullock? Sandra Bullock is competing. She's come out of her top. Wow. But
Okay.
Sandra Bullock from The Proposal?
Alexandra Bulik.
Oh, Alexandra. I thought you said Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, I'm not even sure where to narrow in on this field. Erica Pilasti.
I will throw a name out there that she isn't an Aussie, but she is actually in Australia. She will be competing. It's Samantha Pugh from the U.S. She's a semifinal fringe. I believe she might have. She's been close, and she actually has made the trip to Australia.
So she's Australian, but she competes and lives in the U.S., but she is going to this competition. Oh, I didn't know she was Australian.
Is Julia Hannaford competing? I saw her snatch 100 kilos yesterday. That's pretty damn impressive. Is she competing?
Not on the individual side.
Must be in the team. Gotcha. She's good. I feel like a lot of the crew enjoy doing this as a teams event because, it's a little bit low stress. I think it'll be then Amy and Linda battling it out. I'm curious to see, because Amy, I know, is always previously not enjoyed the muscle ups and the snatching as much, and there's 2 events that hinge on those, so be a good opportunity to see how far she's come with that. But yeah, I'm curious to see how they all go. Oh, Christina, the name you've got up on the board, actually just competed with her at Turf Games, and she was good, man. So, all right, now
Can you say her name?
Nope. Not without being able to
Leviticus.
read it. Leviticus? Is it Leviticus?
You're missing 1 syllable. It's a tough one. 5-syllable last name, Leviticus. But she lives in Australia.
Yeah, she was on my team for Turf. She's good. She's very good.
And she's been a woman who we thought might be able to snag the spot in Australia for the last couple of years, but she's always come up a few spots short.
Yeah, well, there you go. I reckon she's a red hot chance then at
she's not. You'll know from competing with her. She's just not that strong. Aerobically, gymnastics, she's very good.
No, she cleaned 110 kilos. She cleaned 245 in that portion of the Turf Games. So maybe she's worked on that.
I'm sure she has. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's a solid clean from her. She was our strongest lifter, I think, from that event. So maybe she has worked on that. All right. I mean, and then like obviously she's going in there full of inspiration and just like genuine awe from having been on a team with myself. So that's got to count for something. I make myself laugh sometimes.
Turns out Sam Pugh is not Australian, but they are out for the event. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan.
No, she's not. Yeah. Here's a name I want to throw out. Is Alice Scott. She finished 13th in a semifinal this year in Oceania. A young former teen athlete as well.
Yeah. See, there you go. The proving grounds of Oceania. These youngsters coming out. But I reckon Amy and Linda 1, 2, Christina maybe 3.
Yeah, and maybe Laura Clifton as well.
Oh, I'd love to see Laura up there. Hart says Laura has just a great showing this weekend. Is there much running? There is a bit of running in one workout, but let's say Laura demolished that barbell workout. She's good on the rings, so she should do well in that one too. I'd love Laura to do well, and Marnie as well. I'd like her to do well too.
We got a fan in the chat here, Khan. He says, "Watch out for Savannah Maytom in the female futures. She's gonna be legit. So keep your eyes out."
I will. All right.
Thanks, Nick.
That's one to watch.
Like you said, I
love it. These events getting up into the crowd and watching them. It's good fun.
Like Khan said, the team competition at the Down Under Championship often takes center stage. There's been some, big names that have competed there in the past. There are some big names competing there this year. I'm actually not sure. Khan, who are you actually competing with?
It's me and Newbury.
It is Newbury. I thought it was James. That's what's listed on the website, but Patrick said something that made me second guess myself. So Con Porter and James Newbury coming off the championship at the games this year.
I just said James might not know that he's competing with you this weekend.
Oh yeah, that's
he booked. Hey, he's organised. He booked his accommodation and his flight yesterday. I'm picking him up at 3:00 this afternoon, and we're going to drive down together. We will miss the window to check in, but we'll be there.
So you guys are obviously the favorites for the competition, coming off the win at the games, right?
We are not the favourites for this competition, despite our win at the games. That is a lie. We would be favourites to do well, based on name alone, but you can't. Like Ricky and Aniol have got to be the favourites.
Yes, there's a team called Team Ape. Ricky Garrard and Aniol Akai are on that team.
Team Ape.
They might be everyone's favorites on paper, but I'm telling them, if they're happening to listening, that they have to go through the savvy old vets if they want to take down the title.
Yeah. I also think that they've already deducted points for calling themselves Team Ape. Where did that name come from?
They posted, one of them posted something the other day because they're training together, and the other one posted and put on top of it like a gray gorilla, orange orangutan. Gray gorilla, orange orangutan. So they're just...
okay. They consider themselves... They should have called themselves like Team 300 because they both look like they're fresh off the set of Spartans. You got two of the most ripped up units on the planet, I won't be taking my shirt off after a month in Italy and fucking drinking German beer. I will not be taking my shirt off next to those boys, that's for sure.
When you beat them on a workout, you definitely need to take your shirt off and pound that stomach right in their
Yeah,
face.
yeah, take my shirt off and just like shake my man boobs at them. It'd be great. Yeah. See,
So
boys, you might not like it, but this is what peak male performance looks like.
I just loved the story of Ricky and Aniol. They really didn't know each other very well until this summer. Aniol went out to Vegas, trained with Ricky and the crew. They basically became fast friends. They've been talking since then, and now they're competing together in Australia. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Aniol as well. We've hung out at a few different comps before and after a few comps as well, and had a pretty good time. So I'm stoked to see him and the other boys that are down. Like, he always brings his posse with him. Like, you know all the boys, the Spanish boys. Like, I'm stoked to see all of them down in Australia. So that'll be a really good time. It's going to be a really good time having those guys there. But yeah, I mean, they'd be red hot favourites to win it. James and I will do what James and I do best, which is just maybe turn up and win, and like just turn up and have a really good showing. Or we might struggle a little bit, and that will be fine too.
There is, like you said, some other Spaniards who've made the trip down. Callum Clements, who qualified for the CrossFit Games this year, is teamed up with Pablo Cazales. Pablo is a regular member of the training culture team. They didn't make the games this year, but they have in the past.
Yeah.
He's actually, there's no swimming this year, but
there was a swim. That guy can fucking swim.
Yeah, but he's good in general. I think that they'll be in the mix.
I think I saw Luke De Jong and Zach Thomas were a team as well. That's a red hot team.
Well, if they were a team, that would absolutely be a team to be reckoned with. Last I looked, and I can't remember what their team name is called. I thought Zach was with someone else.
Oh, because I remember having a quick squeeze through the list, scoping the opposition out.
Jake Souls. Jake Solis?
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought I saw that those two were on a team. I was like, fuck, they're going to be...
But it's one of those things where it might list Zach Thomas and Jake Solis as the athletes, but maybe Zach and Luke will check in, or the other way around, or whatever. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm old. The isolight's going, so potentially just a mistake on my part. But I thought they were a team, and I was like, fuck, they're going to be gone.
Zeke Grove is in this competition.
Oh God, good. Where is he really? Where's Zeke? Who's Zeke with?
Mitchell Case.
Oh mate, Zeke's fantastic. I love having Zeke at events. Like, Zeke competed at semi-finals this year as well on the team.
Zeke's he's one of those that old guard that's still got it quite a bit actually.
He still does have it too on certain things. Like he'll still go out there and do 30 unbroken ring muscle ups if he has to, and then shock the world with that. Type of dude that if he was individually, like win 2 of the events and then maybe disappear for the last ones. But it's always good to see the teams. Will be fun because there'll be plenty of shit talking, and if there's not, it'll be plenty of me talking and people being frustrated that I'm still allowed to attend these events.
Con, do you know who Brody Scott or Thomas Bartley are?
I know Brody Scott very well. He used to work for me.
Because he has a team name here, and he said that it was directed specifically at you. It's called Your Mom's Ex-Boyfriends.
Your Mom's Ex-Boyfriends.
That's a joke. I didn't talk to him.
My mother's been with my father for over 40 years, Brody, and I know for a fact that Brody would not make a comment about my parents. He loves those two. No, I know Brody well. He's that team name doesn't surprise me in the slightest from him. You met Brody in China, Patrick. Brody was one of my fellow Australian compatriots where we ended up butt naked wandering around the spa hotel together.
Don't say we. Don't say we.
Oh yeah, you weren't there. It was just us and a bunch of naked Chinese people just walking around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was there. I just wasn't naked.
I feel like
paddled on his balls.
I feel like Tommy Marquez was in this equation.
Yeah. He rolled in after we were finished, and we were just like, prepare yourself for what you're about to see. There's people getting hit on their balls with little like ping pong paddles. It was quite the experience. But Rhodes and myself went in there, guns blazing, so to speak, and had ourselves a time.
Con, how about Max Lees? He's on a team with Thomas Woodham, but I feel like I've seen that name before.
Yeah, me too. I think I've definitely seen that name before. I can't put a name to. I can't put a face to it off the top of my head. Who are the top qualifying teams though? Give me some top qualifying teams. I know my boy Dan Falmoine is on a team with someone, and they'll be good. I think it's Dan and Riley actually, possibly on a team. That'll be a decent team.
Riley, who?
Riley Martin and Dan
Okay, so he's
Falmoine. I think I saw them on a team.
so Riley's not doing the individual.
Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I mistook that. Look up. I think they were one of the top qualifiers.
Well,
They'll
there's
be
one
like
other
six-
team. There's one other team that definitely didn't qualify, but they are in the field, and they have their personal vendetta this weekend. Their only objective is to beat you and James.
Really? Who's that?
Jake Douglas and Jake Marconi.
Oh, they want to beat me and Jake. I mean, look, Jake and Jake. They'll put on a show. They can try their best, but you know, there's a bit.
I'm just putting words in people's mouths at this point.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure about that. Actually, I'm really excited to compete with both those boys. I like both those boys a lot, and I haven't competed against Jakey in ages, just through one thing or another.
Jake Marconi, he's not that old. Actually, he's in his mid-20s, but he's been competing forever. He's very good, very strong. He came out of semi-retirement to do a reps ahead match and got demolished. And he's coming out of retirement supposedly for the last time to do this competition in Australia.
I mean, good place to do it. But yeah, I think there'll be, if there's, I don't know, from memory, there is a few names in those top qualifying teams that I recognise that'll be pretty good. I think there's a star strength team with Liam Ford. He's quite a good athlete. I'm not sure who I saw him with. I know I saw my buddy Dan Falmoine with someone as well, and I thought it was Riley Martin. I'm not sure, but he seems to be in a decent team. But yeah, it'll be. I do think there will be a bit of separation. I don't know. The thing is, though, Noobs and I, like, training's not been either of our priorities since the games. And then just these young pups these days, like, they just love to train. They love to train all year round and peak all year round, and then wonder why they drop off when it comes time to actually peak. But yeah, like, you could just get a few kind of teams that are, they're in the gym, that haven't just come off the back of just eating their body weight in cheese and stuff like that put on a bit of a show. But I still think over the course of the weekend and over the duration of the events, I mean, Aniel and Ricky are going to be tough to beat, but and I think Callum and Pablo could do quite well as well. But yeah, I think there's a few good teams in there that could have a little push for the podium, just depending on which James Newbury comes.
Hey, if Zach and Luke are competing, that's a serious podium contender.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Otherwise, I would probably go with Ricky and Aniol, you and James, and Callum and Pablo as the favorites for the podium spots.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. But if it is Luke and Zach, that's a red hot team.
On the women's side of things, I don't know if there's any international celebrity teams like that, but there are definitely some good teams from the Oceania region. Christy Hollard, who we mentioned, was on Royce's team this year, is competing with Briani Chalice.
Briani Chalice, yeah, she's very good too.
There's a team called Girls on Fire. No, that's not the one. It's is it this one? It's Daisy McDonald and Haley Adams.
Oh, damn, that's a good team too.
That's a strong team. They're called actually Mayhem at the Wark. W-A-R-K-C. W-A-R-C. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means.
And I don't know.
Who are the girls that have done the qualifiers? Because I think there will be a good few teams. Because there's that individual list is missing a lot of sort of like your kind of top 10 girl names. So I'd say there'd be some good teams on the individual on that female side.
Abby Ashton has a team with Raquel Jade. I don't know Raquel.
Yeah.
Jordan Malm. She's come over from the U.S. to compete with Lisa Burrell. It's interesting. But I don't have actually like the list of qualifiers in order.
Yeah, gotcha.
There's a team from the UK, Nicole Crouch and Josie Winfield, that's on the roster. So that is an international team that's potentially competing there. I know these. I think Rach Tuma Falmoina and Simone Arthur.
Oh, there's a good team. Rach Falmoina. That's Dan. Rach and Dan, her husband, used to train and play for a while. She's great. She's just improved every season after season. She's improved. And then Simone Arthur comes from great stock, cousin to the one and only Mr. James Newbury. So, yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. It's a really good team.
I didn't know that. Yeah, so I think that maybe we're missing one or two teams, but those are probably the top contenders.
Yep. I'd be curious to see who gets it out of Christy and Bryony, and then Daisy and Hayley Adams. Those two teams would be good.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. Both, I would think, both have a good chance to win it.
A team that I'm looking at is the Strong Gals team. It's out in New Zealand. It's Gabby Napper. She's a teenage athlete, and she's teamed up with a fellow Kiwi named Emily Julian. And she was on a team last year at semifinals that finished 8th. I forgot what team it was. Might have been CrossFit KI Maui.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it seems like a really solid team. I think they finished 4th in the qualifiers.
Yeah.
They finished 5th in the qualifier. But that's the team to kind of look out from the Kiwi side.
Yeah. Circling back to the men, do you know if I saw Moses testing a workout? Is Moses from the EXF team? Does he qualify on a team? Because they'd be good. Moses
I know who Moses is. He's definitely good. I'm not sure if he's on a team or not.
I saw him testing a workout in his he hasn't.
Oh, he might be Moses Patello and Jonathan Dunlap. That is actually a good team.
Oh yeah, so that's the EXF boys. Like they'll be a decent team as well.
Yep.
And Mo will probably wear a cowboy hat for every single event because that man has not taken it off since he left Texas. I feel like
Toby Crouch. I think Toby Crouch has a team too. He's listed with Ben Hickson.
Oh yeah, they'll be good too. I feel like there's going to be a bunch of decent blokes teams all kicking about.
Do you know Jordan Bailey?
No.
I don't know. I'm just looking at some of the other teams. As usual, there seems to be there's more depth in men's fields than women's. But I'd say in the women's field, it's not so obvious necessarily who's going to win. So it should be a pretty exciting, compelling competition.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I think with the men's, you've kind of got a lot of the younger kind of real breakout individual level athletes, they are doing the individual competition because they are seeing it as an opportunity to test themselves. There used to be this competition back in the day called Schwartz's, and it was kind of like that's where you went and you had a crack, and that's like kind of it was a bit of a proving ground. I know from 2013, I did Schwartz's 2013, and that was the big competition that kind of put me on the map, and then I ended up qualifying the year after doing that. So I think that's what Down Under is sort of becoming, is that opportunity for these young guys. Like, you want to be competing individually at Down Under if you are, up and coming through the ranks, because a lot of the real top guys maybe don't necessarily do it, but gives you a chance to go against those guys that are maybe fighting for those second and third spots on the podium at semis.
You seen these jerseys they were advertising?
I have. They're good. It would be better if they were LSKD, obviously, but they still look pretty cool.
And they've already released all the workouts for all the divisions. These have been known for, I don't know, at least a week, maybe 2.
Yeah.
And October 8th, so a week.
Yeah.
And basically, the team events are just team versions of the individual events.
Yeah, which is typical. You could say that's lazy programming on Robert's part, but I like Robert, so I won't say that.
No, I don't mind it at all. There's a lot of things that need to be considered when it comes to running a competition, and one of them is absolutely the logistics from a time and equipment perspective. And you can have, obviously, if you don't have to have big changes on the floor throughout the day, you can get more people through more quickly, and it also can put less stress on the equipment team.
Yeah.
So I totally get it on that side of things.
Yeah, for sure. I think I kind of wish we didn't know the events, but anyway, that's where my faith. Look, it's where my faith in and not quite in peak shape James and Khan wavers a little, seeing the events on paper. But hey, you never know.
This is going to be one of those situations where I faded you guys at the games and you did amazing, and that now I'm picking you to do well, and you're probably going to do terribly.
Look, there's a couple of events that I look at and I'm like, fuck yeah, the boys will still put on a show no matter how out of shape we are. But there's a couple of events I'm like, oh no, are we going to be down to threes on that last set of 9 muscle ups? Like, like, there's just a few movements in there as well that, you know, when you're not lifting consistently. I think I snatched for the first time 2 days ago, and it was wasn't my favorite thing that I did 2 days ago, that's for sure. So we'll see how we go. It'll be good fun.
First
Nah,
event
we'll be
looks
all
like
right.
it's a
We've
two-part
both
event,
got that
actually.
competitive spirit. What's that?
I was just going to look at the events real quick.
Yeah, let's go.
I was actually a little confused by the first event. It's a two-part event. It does not look like it's going to take that long at all, but it's over a long distance. Is this outdoors?
Yeah, so that'll be on the field. So there's Wynn Stadium, which is the indoor one that you guys are all used to seeing from regionals days, the glory days of Australia, some CrossFit, some would call that. But some being me. But outdoors, there is a football stadium. So there's a big rugby field outside that they host events on as well. And so that will be taking place there. We actually received an email last night, though, that said apparently the weather forecast is rain tomorrow. So they're switching Saturday and Friday. So Friday's now going to be Saturday's events. So those events will be events, I guess you'd call it 3 and 4. And then the 2 events that are listed for Saturday, so events 4 and 5 will become events 1 and 2.
So they'll go 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and then they'll get to Sunday.
Yes.
So this event will be on Sunday or Saturday. It'll be outdoors. You got to basically run, do some kind of kettlebell farmer's carry, run, dead ball carry, run. I think the dead ball has showed up at Down Under before.
Yeah. They love a dead ball. But it's not a heavy dead ball, if I'm correct. It's only like 40 kilos, which is, for you
95
American
pounds.
folk who refuse to convert to the better system, like 90 pounds.
Yes, 90 pounds, yeah. So they have this event. There's a time cap of 6 minutes, 2-minute reset, and then you go immediately into event 2. Lunge with the dead ball for 60 meters, handstand walk for 60 meters. And like I said, the teams have a very similar workouts. It's just 2 people doing the work or splitting the work, but same flow.
Yeah.
So you got a little running strongman, and then you got a little strongman handstand walk.
Yeah, I feel like the lunge is almost inconsequential with those loads being so low that just becomes a handstand sprint. And then that first one's a bit of a mixed bag. I think the first one's just going to be kind of don't make mistakes. It's just the loads are light enough that the run with the ball and the run with the kettlebell, it's not going to differentiate people's running. It's just going to be a running workout. It's not going to really kind of change dramatically for those at the top end running with the kettlebell or running with the dead ball. It's still just going to be how fast can you move on your feet. I don't think there's enough of a strength element to that to really make it justify. I just think it's a cool way of doing some shuttles.
And you'll probably get some guys sprinting that last, like actually running hard, that last 200, fighting for some positions and some seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. I think speed's going to be the biggest determining factor in that. I would assume it's 100 meters out and back, or maybe even 60 out and back a few times, just because of the 120 distance is a weird distance to have people do stuff. But I'd say a rugby field is 100 meters long, so I'd say there's some sort of start, sprint to the end and back, so that's your 200. So turns and stuff will play a factor. Who's got the right shoes will play a factor. Yeah, I think it's just going to come down to foot speed. It's just going to be a good old-fashioned foot race. And that's where I think it's going to be cool, because I think that you're probably going to get some like rugby boys and stuff like that, particularly some of the Kiwi boys that come from footy backgrounds and guys that come from those sporting backgrounds that are going to do really well in that workout versus necessarily your typical CrossFit guys. Okay, hello.
I was muted. That was my fault.
That's okay.
They are updating on Competition Corner the event order. So those are now listed as 3 and 4 on Competition Corner. And what used to be Event 3, that's now Event 5, is the muscle up machine workout that you were talking about. So that'll be Saturday night now, I believe.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
I think this is a really cool event. I'm curious to get your opinion of whether the machines have any impact on this workout.
Yes, the ski, obviously. Like, I think at the top end, absolutely. So I tested this workout, the team variation of it, and muscle ups, ring muscle ups particularly, aren't my favorite movement, and I was still able to go through it comfortably unbroken. So you're going to get people that are going to do that workout. People are going to do that workout unbroken with ease, which then comes down to how hard are you willing to push your machines between it. That's where I love a guy like Pete Ellis, because he just, like, dude just seems to love to rip in, and he's a very good gymnast. So I feel like you're going to see some boys put some pretty aggressive paces. Actually, I saw Cam Gray Fitness put up that he thinks no one's going to beat him. He's a bigger guy, and if you're a bigger dude that's good at muscle ups, like a Royce as well, I just know Royce's power output's not his best thing, so I don't know if he's going to keep up with some of these other guys on machines. But you got a guy like Cam that's a big boy and that's good on the machines and can link those muscle ups. Like I said, I think everyone's getting those muscle ups pretty comfortably unbroken. If I can do them unbroken, yeah, those boys will be fine. So yeah, I think the machines actually factor in more than people maybe on paper think they will.
I think it'll be a fun one to watch. It's like it's one of those workouts where like the volume of ring muscle ups and then the kind of inverted mountain, like the down and up rep scheme, can be intimidating for the average CrossFitter. Like, dang, I had to end with like going back up to 7 and 9. But for the top athletes, it's a volume of muscle ups that's broken up enough that they're comfortable with, that it's going to, I mean, it's a 12-minute cap. So it's not like this is like a 3-minute sprint workout, but you're going to see the race throughout.
Yeah. And I mean, they're not going to get close to that 12-minute cap. Like that's an aggressive cap. I'd say that cap more exists for, say, some of the female athletes. No disrespect there. But those boys, I mean, I reckon the boys are going around 6 minutes for this workout. Like, it's quick. And I think, I think the ski can play a factor. I think if you're an inefficient skier and if you ski with your damper too high, which some people still do, and don't understand like how to use your body weight on the ski, put too much arm into it, then I think you can get that's potentially going to be that can really make that a big part of the workout. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see some boys, some people blow out on the ski, and then that play a factor in particularly those later muscle ups.
You mentioned that the female times can expect to be slower on this than the men's times. Not only are the ring muscle ups in the same volume, but there's calories on the machine in the same volume. If you were in charge of programming a competition, would you consider even just a minor change for the women, like 8, 6, 4, 6, 8, and 18 and 15 calories to try to get a similar time domain? Or do you like it how it is?
I think, what's the age-old saying, program for the best, scale for the rest. You're going to have the scaling options. I think, if anything, I would give them less calories, particularly on the ski, because I know that there is a greater variance on ski girl to guy. I don't mind them keeping the muscle ups the same though. I don't think typically you don't often see the muscle up reps differentiate between the guys and the girls, and I still think you're going to see a few girls that go through this. But I would have, like, when you're looking at it, like, those machine numbers for the boys are going to take them about 50 seconds per round, maybe even quicker for some of the guys that want to push it hard. So you'd want to have a comparable calorie amount for the girls, particularly on the ski, because that ski can take a fucking long time for 18 calories for a girl. Like, that could be a minute and a half for some of those girls versus, 50 seconds for the boys.
Right. Okay, so that's what ultimately Saturday will look like. We have a kind of running event, handstand walk event, muscle up, power output event in the evening, but they're going to actually start with, I guess, events for, well, now on competition in the corner is a little confusing to me, but I don't know what order they're starting at right now. The Diane event is listed as event 1, but I don't know what that original
Diane event is. Oh, the Diane event's 1.
It's listed as 1 on competition corner, like right now as I'm looking at it, but it used to be event 6.
Oh, so they must have maybe Sundays now, Friday, and then Fridays, Saturday, and Saturdays, Sunday.
Well, either way, they have this Diane workout.
Yes.
PC, we're going to look at, it's event 6 on what you're looking at. It's listed as event 1 right now, so we'll kind of go with that. And I was confused by this at first until I actually read through the full movement standards that are there. And it's also, this is one of the workouts that is different for the teams and individuals. For the individuals, they are doing Diane, they're resting, and then they're doing Diane again, and your score is the total time of the 2 independent Diane. So if you did it in 3 minutes and 3 minutes, your score would be 6 minutes.
Yeah.
But for the teams, you have regular Diane, and then you have unbroken or unpartitioned Diane.
Yeah. It's correct me if I'm wrong though, but the rep scheme is actually higher, right? It's 21, 18, 12.
Well, for individuals, it's the regular Diane, 21, 15, 9.
Gotcha. And then
Might
teams,
be
the first guy's 21, 18, 12, and the second's 45, 45.
Yeah. But I think the scoring is similar where you're adding your times together. So it's only 100 points.
Yes.
Kind of obviously Diane is one of the original girl workouts. And for the top level athletes in the world, the girl benchmarks, they're fun to do, but like they're so fast. The margins for are so small. The rep, like the no rep to one lane to the other can have such a dramatic impact on 10 spots within 20 seconds for the men or whatever it is. So we had the Diane into like heavy handstand walking Diane in the open years ago. I think it was 2017. And now we have here Diane rest, Diane again. These boys, especially the men, really well, but the athletes in general. How much deterioration will we see on their second time doing it compared to their first?
Well, it's strict. It's strict handstand push-ups, correct?
It is.
So that's where you're going to see the drop-off. You're going to see the drop-off on the second round of the strict handstand push-ups, guys and girls, I believe, as well. Like most decent level athletes are going to go through that first one unbroken. The separation will come down to who can back up those strict handstand push-ups for the second round too. And again, this is a workout where I think Pete Ellis comes through. He's such a good gymnast. Royce boy, not typically the best at strict handstand push-ups. I think he's very good at managing them, so I think he can kind of still do a good job and take a reasonable finish in that workout. But yeah, once those strict handstands start to go, you start to kind of, and that's, I mean, everyone's going to move that deadlift weight fine, unbroken both sets, or should be unbroken both sets. You might even take a strategic break in there just to keep the body from being lit up if that's event number 1 versus 6. But I think that's just going to come down to the strict handstand capacity, and I'm assuming that was the intent of the programmed workout. Who's got strict handstand capacity, who is able to manage it in that first one, so that the second one doesn't become a set of, second set of 21 starts to deteriorate too quickly. But descending rep scheme on something like that is really beneficial too. you get through that second set of 21, and then it's a significantly big drop to 15 and another big drop to 9. But I think that's where you get the separation, strict handstand capacity.
At the affiliate level, the recreational CrossFitter, sometimes people do Diane, and the effect the deadlift has on the handstand pushup is actually noticeable, significant on the posterior chain. At the pro level, do you anticipate that those deadlifts, double the reps, the total 90, affecting the strict handstand pushup at all?
Yeah, particularly with the bracings. Funny, I did once the workouts came out, I just did this very long session of a bunch of little bits and pieces. And one of the pieces I did was an EMOM with an echo bike into then 10 deadlifts. We're at 110, so 245, and then 10 strict handstands in the next minute. And it's just funny that the way that you brace for a deadlift, then going inverted, it can be a little disorienting for the first couple of reps, and it can be a little hard if you're transitioning super quickly to get that breath, to breathe while you're upside down in that position. So I don't think it hits people on the first one. I think if people go super deep and particularly go super quickly on that second set of, say, 21 deadlifts, that you might find a few people kick upside down, and then that combination of the brace that goes into a deadlift, particularly under fatigue, quickly inverting, you're going to find, I think, a few people that heart rate will spike quicker as well. Once that heart rate's up, it's going to be a little bit of an exercise in getting your breath back whilst upside down too. So I can see that factoring in.
I think that the person in the men's and women's field who wins the first part will win the workout, but I think there will be athletes who finish 2nd through 5th on the first part that blow up on the second part and get passed by several athletes.
100% agree. I think the guy then girl that win it are just going to be people that are just gangsters on their hand with their handstand push-ups, and they're just going to know that they have that back to back. There's a handful of dudes in the field that just know they have that strict handstand capacity, and they're the ones who are going to push the envelope there. I think my money's on Pete Ellis in the men's field. And for the women, what's Linda Kaisman's handstands like?
I mean, against this field, I think she's above average on everything, but against an elite field of women, average.
I'm going Laura Clifton on the girls' side for that one.
Yeah. The event that was listed as event 7, which is currently listed as event 2, is the mini chipper, 30 toes to bar, 15 squat cleans, 20 toes to bar, 10 squat snatch. Kind of a burner, 7-minute cap. Some of the guys are going to blitz this though.
Yeah, it's going to be good to watch. That's going to be one of those ones, throw a blanket over the top 12, really.
And don't, this is don't waste reps here. 50 toes to bar, there's really little room for separation there. If you just, have a couple no reps, miscommunication with judge, you can lose some time. Squat cleans and squat snatches are at 70 kilos, so I think the time on the barbell compared to the pull-up bar will be relatively similar, half the reps, but twice the amount of time per rep sort of thing.
Is it 15-10, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just going to come down to who's got the balls to hold on for those 10 touch and go snatches at the end.
Yeah, but they're squat snatches too. So, there's a little bit of nuance. You also have to make sure you're standing them up. You don't want to waste a whole rep and come up and not extend the hips and get a no rep. That can cost you 2 spots.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you see people go out too hot on this one, get to those 10 squat snatches and don't give them the respect that they deserve to have 10 at the end. On paper, my initial thoughts reading that is just fucking go. Maybe 10 of your cleans, touch and go for the last 5 singles, just to give that grip a little bit of a break. And then 20 toes to bar and you just, go for the 10 touch and go. But I reckon you'll see a few boys getting around that 6-7 mark. The shoulders will be a little bit wobbly. That grip's gone. And yeah, that'll be interesting. Interesting they have squat snatches in that workout as well as squat snatches being tested as the strength test.
Yep, and I was wondering if that might have been, I don't know how they're rearranging these workouts, if they didn't want to have those on back-to-back days or what. But as it is now, currently listed as event 6, which was event 4, is the running burpee thruster workout. 5 rounds, 400-meter run, 7 burpees over barrier,
That's
7 dumbbell thrusters, 7 burpees over barrier. And we actually, I don't know kind of if you were following or not, but there was a workout with running burpees over an object and deadlifts last week, 6-rounder instead of 5s at Crash Crucible.
Yeah.
And we were all talking about how this combination of running, burpees, and weightlifting is just a nightmare. I mean, it's great for fitness, but it's hard.
See, that's probably the one that I like the most because it is the most fitness biased workout of the weekend.
Yep.
Bodes well for noobs and I, but yeah, it is such a brutal combo because you're going from that particularly, like the burpee just being the largest plane of movement your body can move through, that takes a particular amount of energy, but then having a brace, and those dumbbells are heavy too. They're 32 and a half, so like 70-pound dumbbells. They're not crazily heavy, but they're heavy enough that it's not just like 50s where you pick them up and they become inconsequential. That combo, then getting back down to do the burpees, particularly in the later rounds when your shoulders are a little bit more tired, you're going to lose a bit of the pop off the floor of the burpees, and then having to will yourself back out to 400. Yeah, I don't know. It's a cool workout. I think it's a well-programmed workout.
And it seems like the current layout that this will be on Sunday morning. So, you know, a tough workout on the last day of competition where you not only have 2 days under your belt, you also kind of know who the teams next to you are that you're fighting for. So we could see some good races here because none of these things are on their own are too crazy difficult. And so I think we'll see, like, let's just say that you guys are sitting 4th or 5th and you know you need to make a move, and those guys that are 1 and 2 spots ahead of you are looking at you guys, and you can kind of dictate a pace early that is maybe challenging to them, and they can hang for 3 rounds or 4 rounds, but in round 5 they're going to fall apart, something like that.
Yeah. It is, and it's long enough too, because that's the only kind of longer test of the weekend. And the only test that really leans more into fitness than it does skill or strength. So I think having that on the last day is kind of gnarly, which is cool. I like that. It becomes, I like that on the last day for sure.
If you're doing your math at home, that the only event that remains, which is currently listed as the final, is the 5-rep max, 3-rep max, 1-rep max snatch.
Oh, it's weird that that's the final. I mean, cool event. Do you know what? It's a cool event because like everyone froths a max lift. I don't know how much I love the format. I don't know how much I love the 5RM, 3RM, 1RM, because I think that it potentially pushes guys to hit huge 5RMs that are then going to impact their ability to throw like a really big 1RM up. But I mean, I could be wrong. I probably biasing, thinking that in just me being like, well, I won't hit my max. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting workout to finish with, because when you think about it though, every comp that you go to, some of the best events that people enjoy the most are the lifting events. So maybe it's not a terrible idea having that as the final. Maybe people will enjoy that.
It's usually either the Friday night or Saturday night event. Like it's a showcase event, but it's kind of in the middle of the competition or towards the front. And in general, with this concept that I know is heavily debated for a variety of different reasons, but this unknown and unknowable thing, I like the experiment of putting it last. And maybe they were kind of forced into it because of logistics and weather and whatever. But put it there. Let's see how it goes, and maybe it ends up being a really cool thing.
It's a cool final day to see a massive change on the leaderboard when you've got kind of the endurance event and the strength test as your final 2 events versus kind of having them littered throughout the rest of the competition.
Yeah, because you can see, like, you can actually let's say the same scenario. You guys are on 5th, maybe it's tight. You win the morning event, you bump to 3rd. You know what you need to do to hold on to it. It comes down to James' last lift. He hits it or he doesn't, and you're going to make the podium or not.
Look, I don't love us finishing on the snatch one if we're trying to hold a podium spot, but hey, I've seen crazy things happen, boys. Be one of those ones where we'll either fucking fail spectacularly or the 2 of us will PR. It's just how we roll.
There will be an opportunity to watch the competition. I know it's been kind of a late putting things together to make it happen. Do you know anything about that, Con?
No, my last understanding was just through word of mouth that there isn't going to be a live stream, but I don't know if that's changed.
Well, last I heard there was going to be one there. I think there was someone on site that was like local media guy that was going to try to pull it off for him. I'm hoping that's the case. It looks like fun workouts. It looks like a fun field of athletes. If there will be a live stream, obviously you want to follow Down Under Instagram, and they'll be posting that there. And I'm sure that, hopefully many of the athletes will do the same.
Yeah, that'd be good. I mean, it's always been an enjoyable competition to watch. Just means you guys have to get up at odd hours, but serves is right. Everything else is in America, and we have to get up at butt crack of dawn.
Well, I mean, I can wake up at my normal time and just watch it a few hours later.
Come on, Brian. You'd want to be watching it live.
B.Friendly
Fitness.
He got
up of what's happening in the CrossFit space. Can't be watching this on replay.
He got up for us. So the least we could do is get up for him.
I mean, I was up anyway. Of course, spade.
Yeah, I'm just trying. I was fighting for you, man. I was fighting for you.
I appreciate you, PC. I do.
PC, any questions before we wrap it up?
So many questions, but none that can be answered on live TV or live YouTube. But no, it just looks really fun. I mean, bravo to the Down Under. They always do a good job of not just showcasing the best in Oceania, Australia, New Zealand, but also always trying to bring in some international flair. And I think it's not only a testament to Down Under, but also the athletes. Obviously, the reason why Anil's there is because someone like Ricky. Ricky probably talked him into it, and some of these other athletes. Justin Smith probably had a great time last year. It's like, hey, I want to get away from Chandler for the weekend. I'll go to Australia. So it's always cool to see North American athletes and athletes from Europe competing in different regions, just to give them a different taste. Just it's always cool. You typically see that.
Just underestimate how fantastic Australia is as a place. I say this.
Yeah.
Said this before, 100%. And I'll say it to anyone who will listen to me. Australia is the greatest place on earth, particularly this time of year coming into summer. There is no city better in the world than Sydney from about mid to late October through till end of February. It is just heaven on earth. It really is. And I know that the athletes that I'm friends with that have come down and spent some time down here, they all say the same thing. It's just like, man, I could live here. It's one of those places that for all of you Americans listening to this from your home state, which you've ventured out of maybe twice, come to Australia. You got to get past the idea that the flight's terrible. It's really not that bad. I know how easy it is to get a Xanax prescription in your country. Just get a couple of those and you won't even remember the flight.
Words of wisdom by Con. Yeah. I mean, we certainly hope to be there next year. I mean, we said that the last couple of years. We obviously appreciate your efforts. This year just didn't work out, but next year we look forward to it. And then we'll extend our stay, maybe visit Sydney while we're there.
Yeah, Wollongong's only an hour from Sydney, so if you do come, obviously spend a bit of time in Sydney as well. Greatest city on earth, full stop. But yeah, highly recommend Australia as a visitor's destination for anyone that would be keen to come, or for any of the athletes that are maybe listening to this. I'm sure they've tuned out at this point in time. But if there are any athletes that are thinking of doing a competition, definitely hit this one up, because like Aussies, you have to come here to really appreciate how spectacular it is. In fact, if I can turn my camera around, is that a possibility? Can I do that with my cam? Nope. So to turn my camera around, I'm literally about to drive across. Here we go. I'm going to hold it up for you. The beautiful Sydney Harbour Bridge coming into Sydney on a sunny morning. There she is in the background. Like that's just a way that you just travel to Sydney. And like, how can you compete with that? I mean, there's a bit of road work going on. That's not as fun. But as I kind of clear this little bit here, finally, you'll get a view of, look at that. There's got the ocean there. You got the harbour. There's the Opera House in the background.
Oh,
Sydney
wow.
Harbour Bridge. not a bad place, eh? Pop my phone back in its holder because
we got a friend who always watches the show, Jeff Birchfield, and he's interested. You've sold him on it. He wants to come.
Well, Con's a big Texas fan too.
Jeff, if we get the opportunity to go there next year, we'll get an Airbnb. You can stay with us. You can hang out, judge if you want to. It'd be awesome to have you there. We'll see if Con comes back, but we're going to wrap it up here pretty quick, I think. Main focus was to preview the Down Under CrossFit Championship that's going on this weekend. Obviously, Con will be there. He's got a ton of knowledge about the athletes, the competition, the competitive landscape in Australia. So it's great to get his perspective on that. Appreciate him taking the time in the morning on his drive there to hang out with us. We're always grateful to have Con on the show.
Yeah, he's probably the original friend of the show. And it looks like he's trying to come back on. Maybe he'll have some words of wisdom before he logs off. But yeah, he was probably the original friend. If you guys don't remember when we did our coverage 2 years ago at the games, he was part of that Coffee of Friends. He was at the desk with us, and it was just a pleasure. And obviously, everyone knows, he's a good friend of mine. Brian is, he's a big fan of both of us. So we're always friends. We're always fans of those who are fans of us.
Well, it's after that one day we bonded in the desert of Dubai.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
the rest is history.
Yeah, it was. It really was. That was an interesting time. But yeah, I think that's it. Well, we have a show on Friday to be TBD. But
no, it's not TBD. It's gonna be a Reps Ahead 5 preview and athlete reveal show.
Yes. So if you're interested to see who's going to be in Reps Ahead, the next iteration of Reps Ahead 5, make sure you follow Reps Ahead Instagram for one. And then the men will be released. The men's lineup will be released on Thursday. And then we will release the women's participants on Friday live on our show with the founder of Reps Ahead and president of Reps Ahead, Mr. Phil Thomas. So that'll be pretty cool, and then everyone's gonna love that show. There he is. But yeah, we'll close off with that, and then on Saturday we have the Oslo Throwdown show with Roger and Phil Hesketh. So we'll debut the workouts on that show, and we'll do a little bit of preview with that too, because that's where Brian will be next week. Kicking off his month-long European vacation, which Con just got back from. And
vacation.
Yeah, you were going to be in Switzerland the first half. I think
4 days of vacation, then 4 weeks of work.
Oh yeah, I guess so. No, Con was in northern Italy before he went. Yeah, but
kind of the same.
Yeah, no, sort of. But yeah. Hey, Con, what's next with you after you're going to be in Sydney for a while? You're going to stay home, play with the dog?
Down under? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello? Can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you now.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, I've got that, and then I'm actually going to Macau to compete. That should be fucking sick.
Yeah.
So there's a random competition on in Macau. Myself and my, offsider, if you will, right-hand man, Mr. James Newbury, we're actually competing, and we're going to be going head-to-head. So it's an individual competition. First time we've competed against each other in 5 years. So that'll be a blast. I know Ant Haynes is competing as well. There's a couple of other names of guys that I recognize from the Australasia region. But yeah, me and Jimmy are heading over to Macau to compete. I'd like to say he's probably the favorite because I've heard Macau's just the Vegas of Asia. So I can't see myself being in the off season, resisting all of the temptations that are on offer there. But no, it'll be a good fun time doing an individual competition for the first time in a while. That's end of November.
Yeah. We've heard about that
And then
competition.
Wodapalooza.
Oh, the boys are coming back to Miami.
I just registered our team for Wodapalooza, so obviously got the invite for the team's competition after the games. Myself, James Newbury, and another fine young fellow from Australia that we're looking to hopefully pull off a pretty good team. I honestly, if this comes off, Brian will probably rank us 6th, but I reckon we'll do well.
I've got you slotted in for 4th.
4th, yeah. So that means we'll still podium.
There was a dig during the Stuttgart the Stuttgart seminar that Con and James did. There was a slight dig towards B.Friendly when he was addressing the participants there regarding yeah, it was fun, but yeah,
I would expect nothing less.
Yeah. No,
all right,
it'll be good. I mean, Wodapalooza is always one of my favorite competitions of the year, so it'd be fun to do an all Aussie team, especially with the boys, especially with noobs, and yeah, fingers crossed we can get the other large Australian friend of ours on board.
Oh, Chad McKay, sweet.
Oh yeah, Chad McKay.
That'd be done. Fuck, big Chato lacing up the boots again.
But the last time he said, hopefully you can grab someone out of someone. It was Kara, and I think that ended up well for you. So I think you're really lucky when it comes to.
Oh, this person's not retired. It's just he's just got about 17 children that he has to make sure can be watched in his absence.
Oh, okay, that interesting. All right. But can't wait to see you guys and the boys, because this year Wodapalooza is going to be on the beach, South Beach. So what better way to?
Oh, get out at South Beach. Oh, we'll definitely be there then. Come on.
You didn't know that?
Ah, shit. South Beach, I'm dropping him back down to 6.
Don't threaten me with a good time. South Beach, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, you better be booking that Airbnb now on the beach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully better than that last Airbnb you got at Wodapalooza.
Say no more, PC. Say no more
about
previous Wodapalooza experiences.
Well, Con, thank you. Thanks for taking the time. This was awesome. Fun to talk to you. Great insights. Good luck this weekend. Tell James and all the guys we say what's up.
I will. You guys that was fantastic. You guys got me the whole way down to Sydney from my parents' place on the coast where I was picking up my stuff. So thank you for helping me kill that time.
Anytime. I figured, that's why I messaged you, because I knew you were driving and all this stuff. Just looking out for you, buddy.
You're a good man, PC. Catch you later, boys.
Yeah.
See you, Con.
Well, thanks. Absolute legend.
That's right. Yeah, that was good. Fun. Hopefully there's a live stream this weekend. It looks like it's going to be a great competition. I mean, we know it's always well ran. It's always fun to be on site, and it's always nice to get a glimpse into, what's going on in terms of CrossFit and competition down in Australia in the Oceania region. So we'll be on the lookout to see if there's any updates coming from them. Con's heard there might not be one. We have heard that there might be one. So fingers crossed that there will. But either way, we'll kind of keep our eyes on the leaderboards and check in with some people we know there just in case there's not, and follow up on it as we always do after the fact. So that's kind of where the main focus for the competitive CrossFit is this weekend. I don't really know of any other big competitions happening. If there are any, feel free to send them our way. And like Patrick said, we got a Reps Ahead 5 preview show Friday and an Oslo Throwdown preview show Saturday. Both of those will be revealing some stuff, athletes on the women's side for the Reps Ahead and the workouts for Oslo. And that'll kind of wrap up our week before I head out to Europe.
That's all right, T-Bird. We understand people got to work, but that's why you can always download it. You can download this and listen to it. You don't have to watch it live. I know some people watch it after the fact, but you can download it on any podcast form, Apple, Android, whatever. You can download and listen to it as you work out, work, or whatever. So we appreciate everyone.
She wants to watch it. Con was on.
Yeah, exactly.
No one wants to listen to him. Everyone wants to look at him.
Yes, it was with Con. So I was able to get Con in. You'll hear the story, but I knew Con just got off a 40-hour flight, and I knew he was still up because he would be, and I was able to get him in. So, and Con has such amazing insight as an athlete, as a competitor, and he just, oh yeah,
Literally just popped up on my phone.
How does that just pop up on your phone?
It did. You know how
Okay.
yeah, because they're listening to us.
They were this, but yeah, it's just it's really cool to be able to pull someone like him, and like Brian, me and Brian, we're not too in tune with the community in Oceania in terms of the athletes. We've got pretty decent knowledge, but with Con and his expertise, because a lot of them, they compete. There's a lot of CrossFit events that go on just like they do in the US, like regional events, and a lot of these athletes end up seeing each other a lot. And Con, he's a big fan. Whenever he's home, if he's not competing and there's a CrossFit competition near him, he'll just go and watch, just so we can hang out. He's very extroverted that way. So to have that knowledge there. There's probably no one better that we would rather have on, just because of our friendship with him and just how easy it is to talk to him. But we like Brian said about the broadcast, we don't know yet. We do know that Bella is there, and she is emceeing the event. So we're hopefully we can get some information from Bella, and our hopes are also to get Bella on to do a recap of the Down Under Championship, as well as do maybe a preview of the New Zealand Championships as well. So, yeah, like Brian said, busy week already, busy week ahead. 2 shows, one on Friday, one on Saturday. Those shows and the ones we've done and the one we are about to do wouldn't be possible without our 2 main sponsors here. HDR-CBE, thank you. Use friend20 for 20% off all your HDR products. That includes everything from the Releaf stick that Brian loves so much, that everyone, even Taylor Self, is a big fan of it, as well as pet supplies, or the pet ointment for stress that I use. I don't use I use for my dogs. And then of course Strike Movement, no better shoe out there. Speaking of which,
yeah, show them what you got, since I don't have them.
I know. So fresh out of the mailbox, some fresh strikes. These are their, which ones are these? These are a special one. These are the Hayes trainers. These are the special Dune White and Mojave color. So it's an off-white with a gut bottom. I mean, look how clean these are. Like these could be worn with like a good pair of slats, which I'll probably end up using. So, but yeah. So Strike Movement, if you haven't tried them out yet, I highly suggest that you do. You can either order them off the Strike Movement website.
That particular one is only through Box Basics.
Box Basics. So
Mojave is what they're calling it.
Yeah,
it should
Mojave.
be out. If it's not out already, it'll be out next week.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like. And Box Basics, you can get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and with Box Basics, it's free shipping and handling. I believe in the North America or US. So that colorway, I know it's like Pool Boy will probably like that colorway as well. And yeah, I'm pretty pumped that I got those before you and Chad did.
Thank you, Emma.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Fun one to do for sure.
Yeah, but thanks a lot. Yeah. So if anything changes, we'll see you all on Friday. We appreciate everyone tuning in. I know Con does too. He's a man of the people. That's why we love him. That's why he's such a good friend of ours. One of the original friends of our show. So again, this wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. And most importantly, it wouldn't be possible without you, everyone that tunes in, downloads, and watches later or listens later. So thank you. And as always, be friendly, our friends.